Good, thank you. Call to order. Good evening and welcome to the July 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting. All members of council are present and we have a quorum. The meeting is being held in person, is also being live streamed on YouTube. As a reminder, please take the time to turn any cellular devices to silent. I'd like to acknowledge the members of the public who are present this evening and those listening online. We appreciate the diverse population that calls Middleton home and recognize that residents have different priorities, experiences, and perspective. Council members are elected to consider their varying viewpoints and make informed decisions in best interest of the community as a whole. Healthy discussion and different opinions are an important part of local democracy. We ask that everybody engage in respectful with one another with council so that we can foster a welcoming environment where all members of our community feel comfortable and just to participate. First order of business, approval of the agenda.
I move that the committee of the whole approve the agenda as circulated.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And next is the approval of the minutes. Did anybody notice anything that was not correct or need to be corrected? If not, the minutes have been approved. And at this part, it's anything by citizens, and this is a 30-minute period will provide for members of the public to address council regarding questions, concerns, or ideas. Each person will have a maximum of 2 minutes to address council with a second 2-minute period, provided there's time remaining within the 30 minutes. In the anything by citizens period. Now, should I say that? Do we have any?
I don't have any written submissions, but there are here.
Yes. So the problem. Should I ask if there's?
Yeah.
Is it?
We just need name and address.
Okay, so if you're gonna speak, it's we need your name and address. Okay. Yes,
Chris Bradley, 224 Main Street. Just request, perhaps council considers a little bit of an amendment to the agenda. I understand there's going to be a little bit of discussion by council on an issue related to the library. I'm here to speak to the library
right,
issue, and I'd feel much more comfortable addressing council if I kind of had a little bit more information. I don't know if everybody else is here about that.
is everybody here about the
Yes.
library?
Yeah.
So would it be possible maybe to switch the agenda up a little bit, just so we can be a little bit better informed, so we don't look like dolts when we speak to the issue?
Maybe move the citizens portion to after the library discussion.
We've already approved the agenda as circulated. So council would unanimously need to make a motion and approve to change the agenda, I believe. Or you can amend who made the motion to approve the agenda. You could also amend your motion. I'm looking at you because we took the trade.
You're doing good.
Pardon?
You're doing good.
Yeah. You
So
want to do that?
if you want to make a motion to amend your original motions.
I move to make a motion to amend the original motion
To
move the agenda as circulated.
No, to move
Anything
item
else?
4
Four.
down to under item 6. Is that what everybody
Wants.
wants?
Yeah.
Okay,
So be it.
Sorry.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, alrighty, well then we'll move on to new business. 5.1 RFD 049-2026 appointment list update, say,
Thank you, Mayor. So this was going to be, I think, more of a discussion than a presentation. There are a couple of items that I just want to point out, and we did receive some correspondence from the County of Annapolis Building and Fire Inspection today that Danny Wright, who used to be one of our building and fire inspectors, is coming back to do some helping and do some work. So they asked if council would consider reappointing him as a building and fire official so that he may conduct that work. That's not in your RFD package. That's new information as of today. So staff would be looking for a motion for committee of the whole to recommend that council appoint Danny Wright as a building and fire official for the town of Middleton. So that would be one motion we are looking for. And then the reason this came on the agenda was because we do have a new counselor with us, and as you know, there was some vacancies on committees that other council members stepped up to fill in the interim, and then council had asked staff to bring this appointment list back to committee of the whole for discussion so that could figure out which committees our new counselor votes can sit on. So you'll notice in there, a specific recommendation, because I think you all need to have a discussion on that, and then Sarah can record motions or on the fly, or you can just tell us what your wishes are, and we'll amend the appointment list and bring it back to council at the July 20th meeting. So maybe we could handle, if council's okay, maybe we could do the first motion to get Danny Wright appointed as a building and fire official.
David, right?
Danny, his father.
Oh, okay.
Danny.
I'll move the council on recommendation of the CAO appoint Danny Wright as the town's building official and fire inspector.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, so then, I guess,
I said on the source water protection, I would be willing to give that up.
okay. You're good? Yeah, okay. So, we'll take that.
I believe you had a committee that you've done on as well.
Yeah, that was the audit committee.
Yep.
I can stay on it. I'm happy to stay on it. It's only 3 meetings a year, so.
I'm happy to go off it.
Well,
There you go.
That's not information. Audit committee.
there you go.
Perfect.
So I don't
Okay, sounds good.
swap in for.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Just 2 less I have to do.
All right.
Do we,
Yeah, the ones that,
we want to talk about a representative on our library board?
Oh, yeah.
that's on there as a suggested item, just because it was brought up at a previous meeting, and then there's also 2 new committees that council approves the terms of reference for that need a council appointee on as well.
To be discussed now or later?
I think it fits under this agenda item.
Yeah.
Without going into all the details of an afternoon meeting we had regarding the library, I think it was clear to those of us who was there that we probably didn't get as much timely information that was being presented in the last several months. To that end, I would suggest that perhaps we make a change at our board members so that we have somebody more directly from council there to bring that information back on a timely and relevant basis.
So,
Yes.
I guess my only question to that is, are we gonna need a board member? Well, depending on what happens going forward.
As of today, we do.
Yeah,
And as you were there may be a board meeting sooner rather than later. That I think
this week.
possibly,
Yeah,
it all depends on what the board decides.
Yeah.
That I think somebody from this table should be at.
Would you be willing to volunteer?
I would absolutely love to volunteer.
So is there a process to remove someone from the committee and appoint somebody else? Like, do we have to notify anybody as far?
yes,
Well, we would need to send a letter to the current representative.
Right, but we notify the ABRL or?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
But just take note that that would not technically be approved until your July 20th council meeting,
Unless we call another special meeting.
correct? And
That may be
I,
worth our while, given the timeliness of things that we're going to hear about later on.
Yeah.
You agree, Madam
yes,
Mayor?
yeah,
and we do have a special council meeting scheduled for this Thursday. We have not yet prepared the agenda or circulated it. It was for an item for the pool. That was timely as well, so I believe we could add another item if council wishes to the agenda.
That was
I
my
think
thinking,
that would be great.
and I think you can do that if it hasn't been circulated.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's 2 votes for public, 3 for council.
so. Today's Monday, so, yeah, that would work.
So we'll then add this updated appointment list to Thursday's special council meeting.
Great.
Is that what I'm hearing from council?
Yes, that's what you get.
Okay.
Does there need to be a motion committee to recommend to council my replacement?
No, there needs to be a specific motion for the fire official one because that actually requires a special notification to the fire marshal's office, I think. But the other changes, I'm just taking notes and we will update the appointment list and recirculate the RFD with the special council meeting package and council would just move through it as circulated. So the changes I have so far are Source Water Protection Advisory Committee, councillor votes to replace councillor Knapp. Audit Committee, councillor votes to replace councillor Knapp. AVRL Board, councillor Smith to replace Joe Cox. Is that council
Correct.
wishes?
Yeah.
So far,
That's
Okay.
right.
we still have the joint accessibility committee and the joint equity diversion and inclusion.
I don't know the terms of reference for the joint equity, diversity, inclusion, but I think should have done.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good. Very well, we'll take it.
All right.
And then the last one is the joint accessibility committee.
Do you know how often that one's meeting?
I think they're set up both of them are set up for quarterly right now at a minimum. But it could be more. Depending on.
You can put me on that one.
Is there any other committees that council wants to discuss changing of members?
I don't have a change in membership, but it's we picked around the idea of an economic development committee going forward. Is that something we're still looking around or is that,
To start a new committee?
yeah, the economic development committee is what we were talking about previously.
That would be up to council.
Yeah.
As a whole.
And we may be on a time crunch tonight and we get that put on an agenda for maybe perhaps next, we hope to start that discussion.
Is that what council would like?
Sure.
Yeah, sure, just
What do you call everybody?
gotta create terms of reference and so that kind of thing. And what they, yeah.
Economic Development Advisory Committee.
Sounds good.
Anything else? What the list?
I'm good.
Alrighty. Moving on to 5.2, RFD 050-2026. Request to waive municipal fees, planning service coordinator.
Mayor. The County of Annapolis Association, or Housing Association, ACHA, has requested that the town waive the $500 development agreement application fee and the $500 advertising fee for its affordable housing project on McGee Drive. ACHA is a registered nonprofit organization developing 27 group dwelling units to increase the supply of affordable housing in Annapolis County. Council approved the development agreement on June 22nd, 2026. While the town does not have a policy addressing planning fee waivers, the Municipal Government Act permits municipalities to provide financial assistance for affordable housing initiatives. Approving the request would result in $1,000 in foregone revenue and may create expectations for similar requests in the future.
Council may wish to specify that this waiver is based on ACHA's nonprofit status, the affordable housing purpose of the project, and the public benefit it provides, and direct staff to develop a policy to guide future fee waiver requests.
I'll move the council waive the $500 application fee and the $500 advertising fee for the development agreement with the Annapolis County Housing Association for a 27-unit group dwelling project on McGee Drive. Based on the ACHA's nonprofit status, the affordable housing purpose of the project, and the benefit or public benefit of the proposal.
Second.
Discussion.
Only that I would like to see, the community see it, we waive it on completion. Proposal to waive it up front. Nice. That works, we need to credit it back or something like that.
Sarah, when? Not sure the process of when these are due.
Fees are due when the development agreement is, the process has started.
When it started again.
No way we could do a rebate back or something, it's not that, but once
The
you.
development agreement's already been approved, you know,
Right.
Yes, yeah.
but we didn't collect the fees.
Oh, yeah.
This was supposed to have
Okay.
been discussed at second reading, last council meeting.
Okay.
They had put in this request to us and it just got missed, so we wanted to get it from council.
I don't think we should be charging them and then rebating it back upon completion. Completion may not be for a couple of years. I think they've shown a good faith effort. They have spent a lot of money on development, design. The nonprofit group. I'm happy with approving that motion.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to add in the council package where it says the council may direct staff to prepare a future policy to waive fees for nonprofit organizations. I think that might want to be looked at because
Sure.
I agree with waiving the fees, just that, it sets a precedent. So I think that, we can't waive fees for everybody.
No.
So, but I think if it's a policy for nonprofit or affordable application, housing applications, that's one thing.
On a case by case basis.
On a case by case basis.
Alrighty, sounds good, we'll get that done. All those in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carried. 5.3, RFD 051, 2026 Crossword Lights change in capital project funding. And that would be our public works gentleman.
So this RFP is regarding those rectangular flashing beacons that are on crosswalks. You're seeing a lot of them around a lot of the smaller municipalities now.
They're up the pole on the side.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they're called RFBs, rectangular flashing beacons, but we had in our capital to do 6 locations, but it was pending grant funding. We didn't get the grant funding. We've applied for grant funding the last 2 years and we haven't got it. So we would like to still put some in, based off what was approved in the capital. I think we would need an additional 4,000. 500, I think it is.
963.
To complete installing 4 of them in town. And just looking for council's approval to increase that amount. The 4 locations that are Main Street at the corner of Bridge Street. Main Street on the corner of Taylor Drive and School Street between the high school and Home Hardware. And Commercial Street by North Street.
I'll move the council approve an increase of $4,963. Project 25-10 for the installation of high visibility crosswalk lights at 4 intersections with total project cost coming from the gas tax reserve.
Second that.
Discussion. All those in favor? Oh, sorry.
Can I just add, council can, we wanted to bring this forward because it's been 2 years in a row that we didn't get the grant funding, and we just wanted to put this back at the council table to see what you wanted to do with this project, because I think we need some more crosswalk lights, Adam agrees, we've heard it, so council could choose to not approve this, and we can revisit it in the capital budget process next year. Or we can approve this, it's just taking a little bit more from the gas tax reserve than we originally budgeted, and there's some, in the financial implication section, Leah did go look at what's in the reserve now and provided a snapshot of what the implications of that would be. So
I think this is a great idea. Moving forward, we'll maybe be able to add more to next year's, but start with 4 for now and see
They're
where that goes.
desperately needed.
Yes.
Also, these are the original price that we have. These are a newer model that are cheaper. They don't have as many bells and whistles, but they still do the same thing. Still LED lights. We can't connect them to a phone and control them from all over the world, but they still can be pushed by a person and flash and slow down vehicles. So
Wonderful.
they're a little bit cheaper than the original.
Yes,
Just one question I have for the Director of Public Works, that Councilor Knapp had mentioned before about the town of Berwick. So when you mount the crosswalk lights on their posts, they have a strip of fluorescent taping, like the vertical on the vertical post. Are we able to do that?
Yep.
Just something more high visibility.
Yes.
We're all about visibility. We all want, some of us like
Gives a great
lights.
reflection on the.
Yeah.
light.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, it's just $300 roll of tape. I mean, whatever you want.
you might get a deal.
You
You might be able to
Might get a deal,
from there.
throw it in.
Yeah. I agree with that,
And you're hoping to complete these projects this year?
Yeah, we're hoping to. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be in this year's. Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
Sooner the
Okay.
better.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carried. Thanks, Adam. And 5.4, RFD 052-2026, inclusive change rooms at the pool supplementary capital project sale.
thank you, Mayor. So the Milton Pool reached out to us about a project that they want to complete. To construct inclusive change rooms, and it is over our capital threshold to capitalize an asset. So normally capital projects get approved in the capital budget process that we go through at budget time. This was not one that was included in the capital budget, so similar to the shade structure at the pool, we're bringing it forward to council so the council can formally approve or not the project. So that the pool can know whether to move forward with it or not. And as mentioned earlier, there and in the RFD, we're gonna bring this forward if committee of the whole recommends it so, to a special council meeting this Thursday because they have a contractor lined up, ready to go. They're in the permit process now. So just for transparency purposes, like we're bringing this forward to council because capital projects are supposed to be approved by council before they actually start. And there is a description there of the inclusive change rooms. There's a capital project sheet that we created internally that shows the implications of the project and ongoing operating costs, which as of right now, we've only just identified there's gonna be a little bit more of an insurance premium because it's on town property. And this is going to be funded, through a mix of grants, and contractor donated labor, and the pool society will cover the remainder of the cost, so it's coming at no cost to the town itself, but because the pool is a town asset on town property, we have to follow certain rules with that. So there's some quotes attached to the request for decision, and there's actually a really nice layout and design and description of what the change rooms are gonna look like. And it'll be obviously a big improvement for a lot of people that use the pool. And we did ask Kelly Doucette, she's the president of the Middleton Pool Society, to be here tonight to answer any questions, and Kelly, if you don't mind, maybe you could just kind of go more into detail about the project and the benefits and why, and then council could ask questions.
Oh, for sure. So, the pool was built in 1968, so the accessibility of the pool tends to be, not as desirable as we would like. So it's been brought to our attention throughout the years that there is a need for change rooms for multiple purposes. People with disabilities that aren't able to get up and step up over the step into the change room. People with mobility aids, including wheelchairs and walkers. The change rooms that are proposed here are 8x8, which is an accessibility standard for people to be able to go in with a mobility device, be able to turn around and then be able to change. It allows parents to come in with multiple children of different genders and have a safe place to take them in to change. And it also allows individuals who are non-binary or don't match the gender that they present as, have a safe place to change as well. So this will be built outside the pool, outside the front doors, so it also is accessible for people to be able to change and then go around and be let in through the gate if there is any mobility challenges.
It's good. I move that council approve a supplemental budget of $5,000 before just to the construction of the inclusive change room at the local pool.
Second that.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is important. It is important in today's time. If we should have that.
Okay. 6.1, community concerns, complaints as of June 2026, CAO.
There's not much to update on the complaints log. A couple did get completed and dropped off the list. And there was still a straggling complaint there about having white lines painted along Main Street on the Brooklyn Road side and Brooklyn Road. And Public Works is actually in the process of doing line painting right now. And I believe that's gonna get done.
Yes.
So will be done soon. So I would expect at the next committee of the whole meeting that will say completed. And then the next one is still on there just because I still need to circle back with EFR on that complaint. They had called and I haven't had a chance to call them back.
Is that 26-005?
Yes,
Yeah, I think that's been resolved, but
I think so, but I just want to close the loop with EFR before I drop it off the list. That's everything.
And thank you. 6.2, town general and water utility financial report as of May 31st, 2026. And I guess
That's me.
that's you.
So this is the town general financial report as of the end of May. So you can see on the revenue side, there's not much to report. We're very much on track with budget. And then on the expense side, there are some variances, but most of those are due to timing at this point. Where we're so early in the year, a lot of the variances are gonna show as timing because we may have budgeted something in a month that happened in a different month than what we were expecting, as you can see from some of the variance explanations in the comments. And then on the water side, the water utility side. Down here, same thing, revenue side very much on track, and then on the expense side, we're showing a bit under budget in expenses right now, mainly because we were budgeting that a debenture would be in place already. We were budgeting that we would participate in the spring debenture for the construction of the new reservoir. And that's not quite online yet, so it's gonna show as a variance until we participate in the fall debenture for that. So things are looking okay right now, but we're gonna continue to present these every month to council and provide grant explanations.
Yes,
Just a quick question on the water utility. Anything more on the tariff?
You stole my question.
No, I will follow up this week on that and see. I think they said mid-July we should hear by, I think was the date the last time I reported that, so I'll send an email and get them to follow up and check their. So that's it.
6.3, 2026-2027 capital projects update. Section 2.
Yep. So, staff have been trying to provide some good updates to council with regards to the status of all the capital projects. And I'm not sure if any of you have checked out the new website, but there is a new section on the website under government, I believe, called projects. And we have staff that are updating that on, I think, a bi-weekly basis with Adam. So feel free to check that out, but the Roder Reservoir project is on there, the sidewalk replacement project's on there, the crosswalk light project's on there, the Church Street road replacement project's on there, water valve replacement, well level sensor, and road repairs are all on the website, and we're updating that on a bi-weekly basis so that the public can stay informed about the status of our projects. And obviously we will post on Facebook if there's gonna be any road construction or something impacting traffic or whatnot. But the status of all the projects is here. A couple of them are done, and I guess I won't go through each one, but if councilors have questions, can try to answer questions, or Adam can try to answer them.
Yes,
Reservoir online this week, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, they put the surge protector in today that was kind of holding things up.
Are we going to have some sort of ribbon cutting?
We will, but we hesitated to schedule something because it's.
Just in case. And have we made contact with the decommissioning company for the old reservoir?
Yeah, we had a site visit 2 weeks ago and we had a kickoff meeting last week. So
Everything seems okay?
Yep. Yeah.
Good. So,
anybody else?
When it does come online, to shoot us an email so we know that we're on New Reservoir.
That's right.
Yay. How about a positive news story for a change?
Change,
Right.
yes,
How much to ask for?
as long as their water doesn't turn purple.
Good news story for a change.
Okay. 6.4. Middleton Library closure.
So I don't have anything to present. I've included in the package, the 3 letters that I've received from the Annapolis Valley Regional Library Board, from June 1st up until now, so that council can see some of the correspondence that we've had. But I put this on the agenda at council's request so that council can discuss it. So that's it. Go ahead.
Okay, so where do we start?
Start with the meeting we've had.
Yeah, well, the meeting, for me, was nothing new than what we've already heard. There were suggestions made by different councils to, they hold off and give us, because people have put in the money that they asked, like 50% more. And most people have put that in, including us. And they, I don't know, what would you say? They
didn't want to do it.
yeah, I guess.
Let's be honest. I mean,
Yeah, okay, let's be honest. That's right. They weren't really interested in what we had to say. So
Thing is in.
Maybe,
the board, like the CAO.
Okay.
maybe we should be giving a little more chronological itemization of what happened today, do you think? I mean, you sort of jumped ahead.
Okay, all the information that she talked to us about, we already had,
So that,
already read.
a lot of that was new to me, though.
Oh, okay,
About the CEO of the library?
Yes.
yes.
So
She
So
was the
that
one
first hour of talk
You
that
never
she,
had seen that before?
I hadn't seen circulation numbers, I hadn't seen
Oh,
cost per library numbers. I hadn't seen the wage differentials, I hadn't seen any of that stuff. I think it went to, according to her, I think it went to you and the mayor, or sorry, you and the CAO. But it never came to this council.
So you don't have any of that at all?
No, today
we
was
don't.
the first time we saw any of that.
But I just want to let the public know, so today, the Annapolis Valley Regional Library Board
Yes,
had a meeting with all of the councils,
Municipal funding partners.
municipal funding partners, private council.
yeah,
And that was today. So some of us in this council attended. Some of us unfortunately due to work commitments couldn't get there. So
Right.
the mayor attended, Councilor Bartlett, Councilor
Councilor
Erswell, and Councilor Smith attended.
The keener side of the room.
We'll let you folks decide. that.
yeah,
But anyway, this is for us to hear too. So I'd be interested to, yeah, so they attended a meeting in Enfield today with all the funding partners, which are municipal units. Thank you. Just wanted to give that little background there.
okay.
But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
So, well, I don't know, like, I guess the thing why we put it on here is if they do not change their minds, what do you want us to do?
Library.
Yeah.
Well,
But are you willing to, are you willing to have a 3-day library or, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, just finish for a minute. There was, there's a thing about the wages of the folks that work there and that you're not allowed to use, volunteers. And that became controversial, like people, you know, weren't happy with that, but in saying that, like I said, the reason this was put on here was everybody, we're all talking about it, but what are we willing to do? Like, to help, you know, like, if they won't help us, how are we gonna help ourselves?
but if I may,
Yes, you may.
I don't think we're ready for that question yet,
Oh, okay,
because it was a 2.5 hour meeting that we had. First hour was them basically justifying their decision. With lots of numbers, lots of outlines of correspondence, they really, the board and the CEO especially seemed to feel that they had adequately communicated to their municipal funding partners the severity of the consequences that were about to drop. We, in our discussion points, or our discussion piece after the presentation, were quite adamant with them that they had not. I was sadly pleased to hear that a number of municipal councils, mayors, councilors that were there, the first time that they heard that the library closures were happening was June 1st at 2:00. The same time that
everybody
found
else out there.
for the most part. I was worried that Middleton just got left out of the loop in some way. That doesn't appear to be the case. There were several board meetings, mostly in camera, that the information never got beyond their board meetings. And there's some discussion about whether they're supposed to relay that information to us or not, and we'll get to the bottom of that down the road. They gave us a lot of information about circulation, that Kentville's, the annual circulation, these are 24, 25 numbers. Kentville was the highest, Middleton was number 4 out of the 11. So they're closing 2 of the top 4 circulation libraries. That's hard to understand. They talked about wages being 75% of their total budget, and I understand that, and I'm not gonna blame it all on unions, but staff did unionize a couple of years ago, and that did put more challenge to their budget, with no corresponding increased funding from the province, as we know, in the last 5 years. And no corresponding increase in funding asked for by the municipalities, or from the municipalities either. Up until this year, in which they had asked for us to all contribute another 50%. Our 50% would be, instead of 12,400, I think the number was, up to 18,000 and change. our decision at budget time was to only give a quarter of that, basically 26% of that, given that that is our proportional responsibility of the entire budget financing project between us and the province and a little bit of fundraising. The thinking being, and this was brought up today, the thinking being that we should only have to pay our proportional increase and the province should also pay their proportional increase. That ironically was then used against us today by the presentation saying that, hey, we asked for $357,000 roughly, and you guys only came up with initially 57% of that. And some of that was conditional, so they really only got 37-ish% of that. So they kind of turned it, in my opinion, they kind of turned it around and said, well, the municipalities didn't step up to the plate to keep these libraries open. So to that, I asked, so Middleton was supposed to pay another, I'm going to round it off to $6,000. We put in another 1,500. You're telling me that if we put in the other 4,500, Middleton's good and we're save our library. No, because the 6,000 that they asked for from us wasn't really the Middleton shortfall. They pool it all. So it really depends on the big players in Annapolis County and Kings County who are paying the bulk of this regional library funding on the municipal side. So then there was some discussion, a suggestion made by Kentville. Or no, I guess it was one of the CAOs initially. Saying, hey, we got all the municipal people here. They all seem to be unhappy that there's libraries closing. Why don't we give the municipalities some time to go back to their councils and see if we can find the 25% funding that you originally asked for as some sort of 1-year bridge. Will that keep the libraries open until next March 31st? Buys us 9 months-ish roughly to work with the province and streamline some things and find a direction that we can actually make all of these libraries go forward. You're okay with this?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying.
There was, I would say, majority agreement amongst the municipal partners that we would like that time opportunity. We might need a couple of weeks. If AVRL would consider postponing the absolute closures and give us a chance here. It was common belief that none of the municipal partners had ever been led to believe that the crisis point that happened June 1st was ever about to happen. Nobody said we talked to many of them during and after. None of them heard the word closures in any of the communications or discussions that occurred prior to June 1st. And I can attest to that as well. I knew service delivery options were on the table. I took that to mean open 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week. You slowly cut the head off instead of chopping it cleanly. But giving us time to deal with the province and see if we can't find an option that would allow all of these libraries to survive. When we presented somewhat of a united front, not unanimous, and there's there's more discussion that needs to happen. But when we presented that suggestion to the AVRL board chair and the CEO, they were less than thrilled. The impression I think we took from that was that they have made their decision. They have a 3-year restructured plan all ready to go that nobody has seen outside the board, I guess. And it was made a comment by one other counselor that, ripping the Band-Aid off today versus like next year, still gonna hurt the same. Well, I'm not convinced we need to rip the Band-Aid off, so.
Yeah.
You know, there was some division in the audience between the saved and the unsaved. You know, the Hunger Games came to mind. I didn't want it to evolve into that type of thing, but it really was, you know, tenfold and.
It is.
It
That's what it is.
That's
It
what
is.
That's what it is.
Because
Exactly.
we're gonna need those that have been saved to contribute more money as well to keep the collective in place. And I'm not sure we're going to get complete buy-in at that level. But as I said, the board chair and the CEO weren't that receptive to such a late hour suggestion. Well, this meeting we had today should have happened 2 or 3 months ago.
Yes.
And that was presented to them as well. Again, they seem to feel that they adequately communicated to us, certainly not to the public, but they seem to feel that they adequately communicated to us the direness of the situation. They did. And they didn't know everything what the province was going to do other. To their own credit, they hadn't heard from the province until April-ish that there was gonna be no increase in funding, and then it was told to them not to bother applying for the bridge funding either, which had been our stopgap the last couple of years. So I think those two things really threw them into a turmoil, and understandably so. But one of the board members, newly elected board members of one of the now have-nots, suggested to the board chair that they call an emergency meeting ASAP to consider allowing the municipal funding partners a couple of weeks or so to see if we can raise some money out on our end to then keep the library going through to the end of March, with the hopes that everybody's gonna work very hard on the province to see if we can't come up with a better funding program. Because the other thing is, it was told to us today that there are other regional library boards that are about to pull the trigger similarly to this. So perhaps that group pressure of more regions within the province will add to the pressure on the province to say, hey, you guys gotta come up with something as well here. We're all trying. That's probably the bulk of it.
Yeah.
I missed anything?
Very civilized version of it.
Well, yeah, you know, it was. Cause I asked them at one point, I said, well, you guys asked for this $300 and whatever thousand. If you got that, are you good? And they didn't really seem to think that they were good even at that level. So I'm not quite sure why they asked for that level. So I'm not sure if they want to entertain any other options than what they've already determined as the go forward plan. But I think the municipal partners, or at least some of them, are gonna ramp up that pressure to give us an extension and see if we can't. I'm not making any promises.
Don't get excited yet.
Yeah, don't get excited.
And I'm not even sure that they will entertain a delay in the closure. We all know that if it closes, the chances of getting it reopened are that much harder.
Yes.
Especially when they start creating new boxes of books and things like that. So, you know, this is our last best opportunity, I think, to try to keep it alive until we can find a new funding model that works.
Yes, Council Votes.
Well, I'd like to thank Councilor Archibald Bartlett Smith for attending that meeting today.
And the mayor.
So your worship. Thank you.
That's all right.
I guess my question is, maybe just for clarification, since you were there, is the shortfall, the 800,000 bridge funding and the 351,000 that they requested additionally for this 26 year, 26-27?
It doesn't appear to be.
No,
It's not 1.2 million, it was 1.8.
No.
no, no.
No, it's really 350-ish.
Whatever it is, 57.
And so that's what we proposed.
Probably less than that.
If municipalities came up with $350,000, as opposed to the 131 or the 200 that we had
Right.
conditions, that there's still no appetite for them to.
That was pretty much, there was
That's
almost
what we
unanimous
felt.
consent that they could have sold that.
Yeah,
There, we would have been here voting on that tonight, but
Right.
their version, this is AVRL. It's kind of like, yeah, we're not interested.
No, we're not interested.
Wow.
That's my impression. That's my impression. So I don't
but
want
we
to
all felt that.
But, yeah,
I mean,
and
talking to the other
talking
council.
with other counselors after the meeting. My impression, and I gotta be careful, it's a suit. My impression was that basically they've made their decisions and that they really didn't want to look at it again. They're like, it was, our path is set and we're going to go out in a blaze of glory. Is my impression. I'm probably being overly aggressive on that, but
No, I don't know. I won't speculate as to why. I know they put a lot of work into it, but, well, they claim to. And I think they're frustrated with their municipal funding partners because I think they feel we should have just approved the 50% increase back in the beginning, but I assure you, the direness of the situation was not impressed upon us at that time, and we were all struggling to find the money to balance our budgets at the time. So, as I said, there were several municipalities that only committed a quarter of the funding, given that the province is supposed to, and we thought that would ratchet up the heat on the province to come up with their 3/4 portions. But there were some municipalities, including the town of Kentville, that committed their full $42,000, whatever it was.
And West Hansel, the same thing.
And they still close their line.
Yeah.
And the mayor there is visibly frustrated, confused, and annoyed. That it didn't appear that any number given by them was going to be enough to allow their highest circulating branch to survive.
Counter votes?
Once again for Counselor Smith. So moving ahead with maybe a new appointment of library, representative for the town, what outlook do you think, like in your judgment, do you think is gonna happen at this next step?
Well, I think I think if we can get a board meeting in the next week, I think we may be able to get the board to consider postponing the absolute closures. If we've got a sense from the municipal funding partners that they're willing to revisit their funding commitment on an emergency basis over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Some of those numbers are bigger, some of those numbers are smaller. Budgets have all been passed. In our case, I don't think the top up is strenuous enough that's going to hurt us. But I mean, there's several tens of thousands of dollars involved in some of the other municipalities. So I'm not gonna speak for them on whether they can find that money or not. But I know we're playing with people's lives, the jobs of the workers in each of the branches, and some of them have moved on, some of them taken positions in other locations and structured things accordingly. But I think we have to try.
Yes, Councilor Michelle.
I just have, my question would be, and I apologize for not being there today, but so we're looking at closing 5 branches in the Annapolis Valley. Have there been any staff reductions at head office in Berwick?
Yes,
There have been some
At the
staff
head
reductions?
isn't that what she said at the office? Where they, planning, they got people doing,
Well, already.
I don't believe that any head office people have been part of this set of cost reductions, but they've had 12 people in the past and it's down to 6 or something to that effect, where they've allowed some attrition to happen through retirement over the last 2, 3, 4 years in a ways of combating previous budgetary challenges.
And if I may, I had a call after your meeting from the mayor of Kentville. And good conversation, but indicated what you just mentioned to Councilor Smith about if there was, the board can hold a special meeting if a certain number of board members request that meeting.
5.
Five.
So I guess my point is to that, I think if we can stay the execution and get a better plan, I think that a board meeting, if there's 5 municipal funding partners that are willing to call a special meeting to put a stay on this closing until you get a little more information, but I agree too. I mean, we didn't have any information. I haven't seen any of that information I haven't seen.
There was never once said that they were the closure for it.
So I mean,
That's one of the things. That's
that's
important.
not how that's not how you do things,
No,
right? So it sounds like it's a closed shop, and I know the mayor of Kentville, as you indicate, you were there. Just my conversation with him, we're very passionate about things. But again, talk about circulation numbers and Middleton and Kentville, but other municipal funding partners that are retaining their libraries, they're fairly protective of that. So, I think if there's 5 board members that are willing to call or request a special meeting,
right.
then I think that should happen.
Yes, oh, absolutely. So I know he's working digitally at that.
And I understand it was suggested that everyone was present today, but the chair wasn't willing to entertain that. So all board members were
Absolutely.
present today.
All but a couple, I think is what I heard.
So I think it was also entertained that maybe that we do make, but anyway, apparently that was not being entertained today by the chair.
It was not
Absolutely.
being followed up upon at that moment.
So for me, not even attending, that just sent a message right there.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have felt any better being there.
Thanks.
Well, you can tell by the tone of their voice, they were just like, people were passionately, even Dave Portland was passionate about this, and he was getting a little teary-eyed about the whole thing.
Mhm.
That didn't matter to them.
Anyway,
But they would have to come up with a bigger chunk of the
Oh, we'd
money.
have a much larger chunk than what we do.
And I'm not so sure. I mean, it's great to be passionate about it and teary eyed. But put your pen where the paper is. So,
But the CAO for Kempfall, he made a great suggestion. And they just shot it down.
yeah, the suggestion being that we delay the thing
Yeah.
and all the councils have a relook at this thing.
So so it's tough.
Yeah, that's right.
That was kind of what I thought.
You know,
So, yes, Councillor.
So I agree with everything that's been said, but just to put it in context as well, all councils that didn't vote for the increase fully would have to meet. All councils would have to vote on it. All councils would have to agree to the full amount. One of the reasons that, and I asked the question as to what was happening with other regions. And if there was any best practices, maybe they were doing, the other regions were doing something that Annapolis Valley was not. And that's when she said there was at least 2, one that's in the process of being unionized. It was just a matter of time before they announced that they would also be facing similar things. One of the reasons why Annapolis Valley is kind of ahead of the game, for lack of a better term right now, is because there was some adjustment to funding that's seen us or our region lose and go down to 10%. There's a formula there, that's based on a per capita. And I forget what else she said about the formula, but we basically lost and other regions picked up based on a formula change. So that should be known as well, because I do believe that maybe in their own minds, they think they did it right and communicated properly. I'm saying in their own minds, I'm not saying others.
Yep.
But obviously nobody here knew that our library, let alone anybody else's, was gonna close down. One of the other interesting notes is Annapolis Royal probably would have closed too, except that they have a $1.2 million bequeathment, that is keeping that library open. Or we probably would have lost that one as well. So that's one of the reasons why they're staying open.
So just for clarification. For all these councils to go back and find more money. It's gonna require Annapolis County to come up with about $50,000 more. And the County of Kings to come up with another $83,000. Those are the two big ones. The rest are peanuts, I'm going to say.
And that gives us only 9 months.
Yeah.
The rest, because they're using their reserves that they can use,
The general operating reserve.
to fund this year.
It's all gonna come down to the province. There's no doubt about it. Until the province comes up with a better plan. We are staying the execution.
And if I can make just one last point, but I was still going, no, that's fine. I don't mind you interrupting with facts. One of the other things, and I believe it was Kings County, asked, well, what if we wanted to buy our books? What if we wanted to keep our stuff? $350,000 would be the cost that she guesstimated, and she said that she averaged things out. So $350,000 just for the books were there, and then there'd be
Computer.
Not including the technology aspect.
Yeah, and everything else. So when we're looking at what do we want to do with our library? There's a real cost associated with that. And I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm just saying there's a real cost associated with that. The average, and she threw some numbers at us, like a book, especially an audio book. Did you have those? Yeah. These numbers are, like it's above what you or I would pay at a bookstore.
For one new
Ebook,
circulation.
ebook is,
This is all one
price per copy.
Yeah, per copy, but it's one new book that comes out in 2025.
Yeah.
Let's say.
So ebook is
You gotta have an ebook, an audiobook,
Yeah.
a large print. An ebook and an audiobook, a large
and a physical
print,
book,
and a physical book.
$6,400.
136 copies in total, so it'll be spread out among the 11 libraries,
Is $6,400.
$6,400. Which works out to be $1,500,
1,500 uses.
or 1,500 holds.
Yeah.
Be like a year and a half before everybody got to read the book, but.
Yeah.
That's better than not getting the book at all. In my opinion.
Anyways, sorry, I'm finished here. Yeah, heard the folks.
Actually, Councilor Bartlett, was that formula change, I assume, was that the provincial level that changed per capita by population, or?
Yeah, the provincial funding, the provincial portion of the funding was changed. And I believe she said 2024.
Yeah.
And they got, it was a 10%.
It went from a strictly per capita funding model. To allocating funds under four different considerations, being the per capita, the technology, the number of places or branches. It's a much more complicated. But
And Annapolis Valley was a big loser.
When you drove that at the provincial level, your question? Why was the change in funding? What was the need there? I wonder.
It was a review that was done.
In principle, what they were saying was basically the library systems or regional library systems in the less populated areas were drastically underfunded. So this was meant to funnel extra money into those areas so that they would get better funding. And the problem was it basically just robbed Peter to pay Paul. The same amount of money just got
Shifted.
shifted type thing, right? Yeah.
So they thought we were overpaid and Annapolis.
Well, it's one of those things, it's like, even if you look at Annapolis, Kings County kind of thing, where, they're three times our population versus, us. You compare that to some of the counties in Colchester or some of these other regional libraries where the population density just isn't there, but you're still gonna maintain a library network kind of thing, right? So this gave them that core funding into those library systems.
Councilor Smith, just one back to you on that $351,000. They're talking about they're drawing down their funds. Is that the same amount as that 351?
yeah, that's what they're.
So if they had that 351,000 in funding, they wouldn't be drawing down.
No,
from
no.
reserves.
Right.
No,
No.
that's actually wrong, actually. Even with the 351,000, they were still gonna have to draw down.
We're gonna have the
theirs.
350,000.
And like I say, that would buy them effectively bridge funding to get us through to next year to figure out hopefully some sort of.
Because
That was
don't get it
part of
through this year.
Yes, through this year, so that hopefully there's some solution
800,000
next year.
bridge funding.
Yeah, you would still need extra funding on top of that to fill the gap. That's if you want to keep
So
everything.
going back to our board meeting, that becomes like more, get clarification on that, then.
So in their, if I may add to that, in their minds, if we cut half the libraries now, we can keep the remaining libraries open longer
Before we cut them.
before we cut them.
Yeah, 3 years is what they're saying.
Right,
Yes,
I just have a question. So if all municipal funding partners came to the table, would there be any cuts? Would they keep the branches open?
Not that,
they
Not
can
this
keep
year.
them up until March. If everybody came to the table
Everybody came to the table.
with the 50% increase.
Which is what we were proposing, not us, but there's other people that were proposing that very thing,
So
so.
that's where I'm going, yeah.
Yeah,
But I just want hypothetical.
they could go to next March. But something bigger has to change.
Right, but the interesting thing is at least three of these branches, I don't know who the MLA is in Hansport or Port Williams, but three of the branches are in, current PC ridings. So I'd like to think that somewhere, someone's looking at this and we're gonna come up with, so if we get to March, surely we would find some funding, would we not? So I mean, for the current provincial government, you're gonna cut at least three branches in two of your own ridings. Right? Like that,
Right.
that's a problem.
it is a problem.
I'll speak freely. Dr. Shore, I'll speak freely. That's a problem. So people are elected to represent the people. Us, we are elected to represent the people. We do the best we can. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes maybe not so much. But the people that are elected federally, provincially, or municipally are there to represent the people.
That's right.
So those people should be listening to the public. And, but again, we go back.
At least taking our concern, our
Absolutely,
local concern,
absolutely.
back up the line and not just toe the party line. Let's,
Well, you send an email and you don't get an answer.
Could I, excuse me just for a sec?
Sorry.
The initial discussion was amongst us, and then like if we're done.
Right.
Then we can start with the citizens.
So,
No, it's a,
just, because we've had the discussion about what happened at that meeting. Do we want to have a discussion of possible solutions going forward or options going forward? Or do you want to have a discussion with the community and then come back to that? Wait, that would be a better way to do it?
I don't think so. Because like,
I think we
I
should.
mean, we kind of know how we all feel.
Yeah.
well, yeah,
And so we would like to know
well, you could.
what the citizens would like, so, yeah, sure.
And one thing, if I may, I know Counselor Smith mentioned you guys not having the information. I just went back through all of my emails from the AVRL. And I did participate in some CAO working group meetings back last fall. And this was talked about, like the dire situation that they were in at that time. And I received a email, so I met with the CAOs and the CEO of AVRL on October 6th. And the very next day, I had an email from the CEO that said, thanks for taking the time to meet, for your records. Here's a letter from the AVRL board that can be included in your next council package as correspondence. And that was included in the October 20th council package, I think. Yes, the October 20th, 2025 council package. And so that letter basically said, I'm writing on behalf of the AVRL to share an update on our funding situation and the impact it'll have on services in the coming months. While we are grateful for the emergency funding provided by the province this year, it was not enough to close our budget gap. For 25-26, AVRL received approximately $180,000 but still faces a deficit of $265,000 with wage adjustments. This is last year, 25-26. As a result, service disruptions are unavoidable despite years of incremental cuts. Maintaining current funding will now lead to unprecedented branch closures and service reductions. We believe it is important to be transparent with our municipal partners and communities about these changes. Our goal is to keep you informed so that your councils and staff are aware of the impacts and can respond to questions from residents. Despite these challenges, our libraries remain committed to serving as a vital community hub, supporting literacy, learning, technology access, and social connection. We are hopeful that sustainable provincial funding in the provincial spring 2026 budget will allow us to restore services and strengthen our capacity in the current absence of a response from the province, and to avoid major service restructuring. In 2026, a separate budget request is forthcoming to municipalities for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. We will work with municipal staff to bring this forward according to your budget process. Thank you for your ongoing support of our libraries and the communities we serve. So that was on the October 20th, 2025 council packages correspondence. Also in that email from the CEO, she included the 24-25 audited financial statements, and then a document, which was a copy of the details we reviewed yesterday as the CAO group, which we ask you to keep confidential at this time. So that confidential update has confidential written over it. It does have some numbers that you spoke of about what the number of contributions are, potential impact to service, library usage statistics, some of those things, but it must be confidential on it, so it was not circulated to council. And then we got a request, the mayor and I got a request to attend a meeting on January 21st at the County of Kings building. And it was a presentation by the AVRL CEO. And they circulated an agenda package ahead of time. And it says AVRL meeting package. Please see attached report in advance of the January 21st meeting for your review. This report should be treated as confidential and not for distribution beyond this email group. And again, that document also did have some statistics that Councillor Smith quoted. So that did come to the mayor and I believe that we did, as a result, speak to that, because I opened up the February 2nd committee of the whole package, and the RFD to council with their budget request was discussed at that time while we were in budget deliberations. But again, we did not circulate that document because it said it's to be treated confidential. So I just wanted to clear up like why some documents didn't make it to everybody.
Right.
But we did have that letter that did have the word branch closures in it in our October meeting.
Yes, go.
I would just like to add that, yes, that's great letters in the October agenda package. But just indicating there's gonna be service disruptions and possible branch closures. But there was no more information about that, other than until we got to the point where we're looking at additional funding in our budget deliberation.
Right.
So it's great to let us know there's gonna be service disruption, so that could be reduced time of day. Or a branch, well, that's great to mention it.
You know, like maybe only
Right.
3 days a week or something, you know.
But I mean, that's as far as it went,
Yeah.
right? So just to let you know, this might happen. Okay, well, this is October.
Yeah,
Well, here we are in June.
And even with the RFD that staff presented to council, the letter would have been included in the RFD. And I don't think it
Yeah.
indicated that if you don't give us this funding, we are going to close branches X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty top secret to me.
I just wanted to provide that
No.
for information.
I don't feel they ever
No.
truly expressed the dire situation. Partly because they didn't know that they weren't going to be successful with the province. But once they knew that, it should have been all hands on deck, in my opinion. This, as I said, this meeting that was this afternoon should have been at least 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So that we could have addressed the situation more timely than 2 weeks before closure.
right. Okay. Who's first?
Yeah.
Well, you wanna speak to?
Well, I was
Yes.
just going to say is that a lot of us
Ah, yes,
have
right,
written
sorry.
the premier and have written.
We need your name and
Oh,
address.
sorry. it's
Yeah.
Jerky.
Yeah.
And it's 73 Victoria Street. And we have got nothing back. Like no acknowledgement. Well, there was an acknowledgement from the letter I sent to the premier. And it said, we have received their correspondence and if it's deemed necessary, we will, somebody will get back to you. And
Okay,
Nobody got back.
Nobody got back.
Nobody has gotten back, and I don't know if anybody else has gotten back. And the other thing I would mention is that I had put the question about why didn't we know about this sooner? Like, why are we on our, trying to do this now? Like, why didn't we know this was coming? And the reply I got was, well, if you had been listening to CBC, you would have heard about the possible cutbacks. And I'm thinking, like, really? Like, I listened to CBC.
Was that from the premier's office or the
No,
local MLA's
no,
office?
that was just a comment that was made at a meeting, but, and I thought, well, I do listen to CBC, but never was it said that, hello, listen up, because this means your library is going to close.
Thank you.
That's-
Yes, Joanne.
Even if you have,
Address.
I'm sorry, Joanne Hightower, I live at 10 Pinecrest. Even if you are successful in having, or do you know that you can have 5 members who are willing to,
I know of two,
oh, you know, two. Okay, but
assuming that I get on there on
Yeah.
Thursday and they don't have a meeting before that.
Okay. And the meeting happens and the AVRL agrees to a stay of execution plan. Can the province put the kibosh on all of that?
I would think not, because it's no sweat off their nose.
Right.
They're funding what they're funding at this particular point in time.
Right.
So there's no, we need to even, I mean, we'll probably mention it to them that we're not closing on the 18th, but I think we would still up the pressure on them to say, look, we've got a municipally led stopgap. But we need to have some serious discussions, and apparently all of the library boards across the province, and there is a board of those boards. They need to somehow get it through the thicker skulls of Halifax that something needs to be done. And I have no idea if that will happen or not, but maybe we're beating a dead horse, but
They're gonna try.
I think
we're
so.
gonna, I think we need to try, and I have nothing against horses, please don't. I like horses. We shouldn't beat them dead or alive.
Yes,
Nina Newington, I'm at 2352 Mount Hadley Road. Thank you for all your efforts. I guess the
It's-
level of frustration,
Group level, yeah.
and really appreciate the idea of the municipalities trying to come together and buy us some time, because it just seems ridiculous. I've met with, so when we got the news, some of us went and demonstrated outside MLA Bolby's office the next day on the Tuesday. And after they refused to let us in for a good long time, eventually some of us got to go in and talk with the constituency assistant, Richard, who really seemed to know nothing and didn't really want to meet with us and was afraid of talking to people in protest. And we kind of said, well, we don't really look like Pitchfork and Molotov cocktail crew, you know?
Yeah.
But he was, then, we asked for a meeting with David Bowlby for the Friday when there'd been another demonstration called, and got him to take down email names and so on. So on the Friday, several of us, including Roseanne here, 3 of us actually met with David Bowlby. And Peter Harrison, who was from the Premier's office. And I would, you can add in Roseanne, but my sense was that we were just given like no real information. I mean, they were entirely focused on blaming AVRL and convincing us that AVRL had a huge slush fund and they weren't spending it. And no mention of, 1.2 million already being dedicated to Annapolis Royal and how they'd be in trouble if they spent that money. And just a whole lot of that was real misinformation, because then we began to learn, well, actually, the Committee of Regional Library Boards, whatever
Yeah,
the acronym is, had already in fact written to the Premier's office and said, it isn't just AVRL, we're all facing dire straits. You'd never have guessed that from what we heard from Peter Harrison, who was there from the Premier's office. So I felt like, wow, the province is not, or, through David Bowlby's office, is not playing straight with the public. I too have written and not received any response. And it really does seem quite outrageous to me that they're not carrying forward our concerns to the province. So I'm happy with the thought that, if it has to be the municipalities that can try to push to keep the libraries open, we all need to also be pressing the province. And I think they probably are feeling some level of heat. I mean, it's not easy for people to keep showing up week after week. And from that first Tuesday and then the Friday, since then, there have been another 3 weeks of those demonstrations. I think the other thing that went on with that meeting was that, and it sounds a little bit as though you had that experience with AVRL, but we were being sort of snowed with fairly irrelevant financial information. It was like, so Lawrencetown is getting $11,000 for what, So boy, it's been a kind of a bit of an eye-opening experience to see something that's as important to as many people as this be treated so dismissively and kind of disrespectfully, really, by the province.
Absolutely great. Yes.
What did you say your name was, sorry?
Nina Newington.
Thank you.
Nina, did you write your letter to the Premier or to David Bowlby?
I wrote to David Bowlby.
But you didn't CC it to the Premier or anything?
I actually think I've written a separate letter to the Premier, but I'd have to go back and look.
But any response from that?
We were told by Richard, the assistant, I was in.
Richard Foster.
Yeah, that, from his perspective, they didn't look at CC letters. That was my understanding. So my letters that I have written, I've written individually. I've heard back from Richie, quite a long letter, which I'm sure he sends everybody else, perhaps. But I have not heard from the Premier. I've sent multiple letters to Bowlby. I've not heard anything from him. I wrote a few other people too. I wrote more. I only got the one response. I didn't even get a confirmation from the Premier that my letter was received. But we'll get another one tomorrow. I went to wait till I get to it.
we get your name and.
Sure. Roseanne Nicholson, 282 Grant Road.
You said Grant Road?
Grant Road.
Yep, thank you.
Yes.
Still Chris Bradley, 254 Main. Thanks, I really appreciate the update because
Yes.
not having access to any information at all for 5 weeks or 6 weeks now, I guess, has been terribly frustrating. I guess the question I have is, has council invited our MLA to attend a council meeting to explain to the residents within his constituency why the province is doing what the province is doing? Has our council met with Bowlby and asked the pointed questions of him as to what he's doing? for his constituents. Is there any way our municipal council can team up with other municipal councils and put a little bit of pressure, in particular on the conservative MLAs in the area? It's great that a number of people go out there and protest every week. I've been out a couple of times in Bonsby Note. I've seen a lot of faces go out regularly. I've seen 3 members of council. I've seen the mayor out there once, which is nice. But he ignores us. He shuts down his office to avoid us. And there doesn't seem to be any kind of willingness for the province to be held accountable in this matter. We have a council that's listening to us tonight. That's terrific. We have an MLA that's absent. And it's a damn disgrace. It's a disgrace. It truly is. I don't know. Is there any kind of willingness for municipal council to formally engage with the province on this matter? Mr. Volpe?
Yeah.
I guess I will just say since my time here over the past 4 years, typically our MLA has reached out to me and requested to meet with council, and we've had, like, I want to say every 4 or 6 months, we've had somewhat regular meetings with the previous MLA that was in when I started. And they were really good about reaching out and saying, hey, like, can we come in and talk to your council and understand what's going on? And our member of parliament does the same thing, slightly less often, but once or twice a year reaches out to the council through me to say, hey, like, can I stop by, meet with the council? We did have one meeting with council with MLA David Bowlby. I just looked, it was last April. That's the last one that I could find in my calendar. But the mayor did have a meeting with MLA Bowlby and Peter Harrison.
Yes, as a group, we all met with them in Annapolis. But once again, it was just like when you ask a question and you get no answer. I don't find that that's very helpful. And
Don't feel bad. He is very good at that.
Yeah.
I've met with him
and I
twice.
have to say that Peter Harris did all the talking.
Exactly.
David Bowlby hardly said anything. So any questions that we asked, were Peter would answer it, but it was like that soft, like, well, yes, we're looking into that, or yes. Well, yes, we understand what you're saying,
Give you the pressure.
but Bowlby was not, he didn't. He just sat there. So he was there, yeah, he was. And if you say to me, did you meet with David Bowlby? Yeah, I did. Peter Harris, so,
So is there a point, like, is it worth your while?
That was going to
I
be
mean,
my thing. I think we can
we
reach
could
out, but I
invite
think
them,
we're
but-
gonna get the same response as what you did. You're gonna have a closed door. But I mean, we can.
But if,
Certainly.
if you at least do it formally on behalf of
Yeah.
Oh,
all of
yeah,
us in the
Yeah.
community.
We sure can.
Does council want staff to set up a meeting?
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Sure. Invite them over Thursday night. Make that special meeting even more special.
Special, yeah, that's right, exactly.
I can bring some.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, and I have to say, Chris, I've used a quote from the last meeting when you were here about libraries being the soul of the community. And that's true. That's true. And, but yeah, I don't understand why the powers and the people, and I'm not sure why the elected officials are not responding to the power of the people. But they will, in a couple of years.
Well, he had an overwhelming
Okay.
success in the last election.
Again,
He may have lost
You- you
those
say-
8 votes.
you'll have your opportunity.
Anyone else would like to speak?
That's a dumb question.
No such thing.
No, there is.
No?
Trust me, it's got my name, Gaza. So my name's Lenny Cronus Wade, and I'm not 24 Canaan. So.
24 non.
Dumb question is, the 5 municipalities which have proposed library closures. Does APRL continue to expect funding from those 5 municipalities if those libraries close? Because they're gonna have a shortfall of funding.
So in one of the letters attached to the council package, Julia Merritt, CEO, did outline that they would not be billing us for our portion of the library funding beyond the July 18th closure date. So that's in a letter in our council package. So that's what we've been told by the AVRL.
Substantial, but that's a substantial amount of money that they're going to be using that.
Well, from us, it's smaller, but I haven't gone and done the math on what the other municipal units pay.
So can I ask a question on that as well? Because it is somewhat relevant. We do our own percentage of 26%, that's matched by the province at 71%. If we're not contributing that 26% or a little portion of 26%, do they get the amplification of the 71%? And in the event we decided, because there was discussion at the meeting of Kemple, but possibly doing their own thing, Lawrencetown wants to do their own thing. If Middleton chose, in the worst case scenario, can't go have an AVRL library here, we go back to just a Rother Harvey Middleton Regional or Middleton Library. Are we eligible for that 71%? So if Middleton kicks in, call it 20,000, and then we can get matched that with a 70%. So then now we got a $50,000-$60,000 to play with in terms of a budget to begin rebuilding the library.
So that question kind of came up at one of our other meetings, and I did have a conversation with a couple other CAOs about that, and I think the province would have to answer that question because the Libraries Act outlines how to establish like a regional library system, and then the province has this funding formula that's outlined in the act. So if we aren't being billed for our portion anymore, I don't know without the province telling us how that works. What is gonna happen with the other portion of the funding, but we can reach out to the province, like I'll make a note to reach out to the province and ask them some of those questions. But the understanding I had from some of the other CAOs was that the Libraries Act does mandate you to pay into the regional library system if you're part of a regional library system, and our town signed on to be part of this regional library system. And the interpretation at the time, which I don't know to be true or false, was that if we're still a member, we might be required to continue to contribute our portion unless we give the province notice that we don't want to be part of the Annapolis Valley Regional Library System. But the CEO has gone ahead and let us know that we aren't going to be billed for it. But I still need to figure out operationally what that means, like at the provincial level, like, because the province could maybe still come in and say, well, no, you have to continue contributing your portion because you're still a member. So those are some answers that I don't think anyone has just right now. So there's still obviously some optics to figure out with some of this information and a lot more questions than answers at this point in time, because I'm not sure that this has happened before, and we would have to look to the Libraries Act to see what it says, but the Libraries Act I've looked at and it's silent on some of this stuff, so.
But if we can find out or get some clarity down, just because if in a year we can withdraw from them and possibly create some version of our own thing, if that funding becomes available, that's You know, or whether we're just not eligible for it because it's just a town like.
Well, because council votes it first. Okay, council.
So I posed that question to the CEO very early on after June 1st. About the fact that. If you're not going to give us or allow us operation of a library in our town. Do you lose that funding? For that branch? Have you confirmed that you don't lose that funding? I got no response. So I asked a board member that question last week. And it was clear to me that it had never been considered. So I worry, well, I don't worry, but I suspect that they're operating on the idea that they're still gonna get the same level of provincial funding and just operate 6 libraries instead of 5. I talked to the mayor of Kentville today after the meeting and pointed this out to him and said that, you know, as a last resort, if we have to go it alone, creating our own libraries, that we should, as a group, solicit the province for our portion of those funds that are going to AVRL as part of the funding arrangement to allow us to operate our own. And he was quite excited about that idea. So we are working on that.
Succession.
Yes, council votes.
I guess my comment would be, is there something to gain by saying, you know, accepting that bill for the rest of the year from the Annapolis Valley Regional Library to have a board seat? I mean, once we don't pay anymore, we don't have a board seat, I'm going to assume, like, we need to pay $18,000, fill our commitment. I mean, if you're not working from within the system of that board, what are we doing? Like, is there not some benefit there?
Agreed. And to my knowledge, they haven't told us.
And they just decide not bill us, we can send them the payment, can we not? We're like, hey, we're still here. Like, inside poking them.
You tell me, we have not been told that our board seat disappears.
No, so my understanding from the Libraries Act is that if we're still part of the regional library system and we've not given the province notice.
The 1 year notice.
The 1 year notice to remove ourselves from it, my understanding is that legally and technically, we should still be paying into the
Right.
regional library system. And we still have a board seat at the table.
Right.
But if council chooses to direct staff to write a letter to the province to give the 1 year's notice and request that our 71% matched funds for our portion be used for XYZ, or to ask what happens to those funds, staff can prepare that type of letter, but I think.
We have 6 months to do that withdrawal letter, because it has to be effective a year from December 31st. So we've got lots of time to withdraw from the regional library board, should we choose to go that direction.
Yes.
Yeah, I think my comment would be, I'm not so excited about giving notice to leave this.
Right.
Agree. Within the system as within that board, and, you know, the board should have some say over, you know, positions of power within that system, in the library, the AVRL.
Right.
Encourage them in the right direction, at the board level.
The town of
Over time.
Kentville has already submitted their notice to withdraw.
Withdrawal. Should that not be a consideration that maybe they should reconsider that? You know, I think that's, it may be a bit hastily, you know, maybe not thinking about working from within the board position.
Right.
I would be in favor of staying within the.
And
They'd be very excited.
Yes.
can I just make a point too, that like some of what we've learned, and maybe it was talked about today at the meeting. And you all heard the cost of what new books are, but there is a benefit of being in a regional library system, a huge benefit, because if our little town were to go do our own thing, there's a huge capital outlay of costs in books and equipment, and right now the Annapolis Valley Regional Library system is now connected to a province-wide system that if we don't have a book here in AVRL and Cape Breton does, there's an agreement that they share it. So there is a huge benefit to being part of that system, So to Counselor Boat's point about trying to work within that system, I know residents want the town to do something, but we to try to rush and do our own thing and leave that whole system that has a huge benefit, would, like, I think that needs to be thought through.
Well, I think everybody wants to stay.
Yes.
Right, I think the whole idea is that we stay part of this, that's what we're all trying to work towards, not try to go on our own, that would be option B or C. But at the same time too, can you imagine having 5 board members that don't have branches? They're sitting on every board meeting,
Right.
right? So as Council both said, poke it from within.
Yeah.
I know I'd be really excited if I was the CEO or the chair, having 5 board members that came to every meeting. That would be special.
Yeah, okay, we gotta, it's public session now,
I
so.
was just gonna say, Lorraine Coops, 8 Acadia Street, Middleton. My question is, I guess, is that, do you get a sense at all, because you've been talking to the ABL board of them, that they're willing to give it all towards any kind of suggestions that the municipalities might make? I mean, I'm not saying we leave them or we go away from them, but did you get any sense that they are willing to entertain any idea? Like, if we came up with $1 million, would they take it and say, oh yeah, you stay open? Or have they got their 3-year capital plan and that's it, and they're not willing to budget?
I think for $1 million, we're in the game.
Yeah.
I think for this total funding of $350,000 that they asked the entirety of the municipalities for, I think we're in the game for 9 more months or 8 more months, whatever it works out to be. But something bigger has to change.
Yeah, oh yeah, I realize.
And I don't even know if, I haven't seen their 3-year plan.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is.
Yeah, they talked about it.
But there was some concern about whether there would be further cuts next year or the year after as well, if the province did not step up. I think the inevitability will be a regional library hub in one location within AVRL catchment area. If I was prognosticating 5 years down the road type of thing.
No, I was just thinking that, if you get the sense that they have to do what they have to do for
They
whatever
were.
reason, then what is our next step?
I didn't get the warm and fuzzy today. But maybe we sprung it on them, maybe the concept of stepping back and trying again was a little too fresh for them. And maybe after a couple of days of thinking about this, of calling a meeting or whatever. And if they can get some positive news from some of the bigger players
Yeah.
at the municipal funding level, then maybe they could see a path forward.
Okay,
They didn't say no.
yeah.
Simply. Margaret?
Oh, yeah, I just want, the Friends of the Library have gotten requests. And I guess my question is that if all of this, we don't get a turnaround, is that I would like to know that the request that the Friends of the Library got for Middleton stayed in some shape or form in this community and is not absorbed by that.
I don't think any of those requests.
So the Friends of the Library is a separate society from the AVRL, so their funds are completely separate and they're managed by the Friends of the Library.
Okay, so they can't.
They can't touch that.
No.
Okay.
Is there a recap we could provide, maybe like a timeline based on tonight, thinking about replacing our board member, a possible next meeting, just kind of like recap this conversation we've heard a lot from the community, counselors, thank you, staff. I don't know, I'm kind of looking your way, Councillor Smith, if, it might be helpful for everybody in the room to like kind of recap where we're at right now, next steps.
The Mayor Kentville asked for, sorry,
I was just gonna, Nina had her hand up, so.
nobody asked a question.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
The Mayor Kentville asked the board chair to consider calling a meeting sooner rather than later. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't get called until after Thursday. And I'm pretty sure the mayor council agrees. But I think it was generally talked about amongst the municipal funding partners that we would have to do something substantial in the next couple of weeks in order to stave off closures. And we really don't, we all know, we don't want to close it for any real period of time. Because once the boxes start moving out,
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to get them back. But I think something has to, plan has to happen in 2 to 3 weeks. Unless the province miraculously announces on Friday that they're gonna help and everything's back to normal for a while and.
So those really are the next steps is, hopefully this meeting doesn't happen sooner or later.
Assuming the board actually calls that meeting, the board doesn't call that meeting to ponder a new funding suggestion by the municipal partners, then they're still heading down the same track.
Is the other piece we're reaching out to the MLA, which is just for optics, I guess, at this point. Yeah. Is there any appetite that, CEO reaches out to the other municipalities to, leverage to have conversations that maybe might have, but to have over time on being about desire? Is that worth it? Or have you had those conversations with the other municipal partners?
Not since this came out,
Okay.
I guess I'll say.
I would suggest if you touch base with Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, because he sort of led the initial idea of the councils going back and revisiting their funding commitment. Now, maybe he has been told that's a stupid idea since 2 o'clock this afternoon, and it's off the table. I don't know.
Do we all need like 12 phone numbers of counselors and other councils to make some calls and?
Yes, John.
Just one thing, even if it all came about the money to open up the libraries, staff have been given 6 weeks notice. All unionized staff, so. And I don't want to put it down on anything, but the reality is that most of these people probably do not want to work for the library system anymore. Especially knowing that we're gonna do this all over again in 9 months. They've been given six months or 6 weeks. Well, and I hope I'm wrong, but I'm saying that as the unionized, because they've been given 6 weeks notice. There's 5 libraries that are set to close. 5, and they said that not everyone would lose their job, even the ones, because it would be. They could maybe work in other spots through attrition or through whatever. And through, I guess, increased services at the other libraries. But these people have all been given notices, so. There would probably be some kind of service interruption regardless, until people were hired back for that period of time.
Does anybody else from citizens have a? Hi, yes.
Yeah, no, I just want to first say, I think we all do want to stay within the library system if at all possible. It's a completely different deal if you just have a little separated library than being part of a big circulation. I guess that I wonder, and I don't know if this is helpful strategically, I wonder whether AVRL is being as stiff-necked as it is in order to maintain pressure on the public, on the province. And if so, whether the municipalities take that into consideration in thinking about how to also be piling on pressure. And it's just a question. I mean, if I were the AVRL, this partly comes, I should say, from the sort of outrage and suspicion that came from Peter Harris, the David Bowlby part. They're closing Kentville and Middleton, and those are 2 PC ridings. So they were not unaware of that. And I wonder how much that's what's happening.
If that's the secret plan, they're hiding it well.
Yeah, that's right, very well.
I think that was a hope, early on. My impression from that meeting is no. Because if that was the case, that they would have jumped on the idea of municipalities getting the bridge for a year, putting them that much closer to a provincial election where it's gonna be competitive. Which to me, that makes sense. There's where you're gonna get your funding, because it'll give them your opposition a meat stick type thing, and you'll solve that problem before an election. But that didn't seem to be a thing, and that would also have given you, if everybody at the other libraries are gonna be in trouble in a year, that would have put you in a bigger pot for extra pressure. So I think that was a hope early on. I think that, but I don't, personal opinion on it, Reed, I don't think that's the case.
Anybody else? Okay.
Well, in my recent letter, I think, arriving yesterday from AVR, the regional library, just the mass letter that they send out, just talking about closures and about the boxes going up. They have no place to put those books. And I also know that historically, they just throw the books out. So all of those libraries that are being closed, there is no space. I mean, Bridgetown is full to capacity unless they put books into the meeting rooms. Where are they gonna put all those books? There is no place for those books. So for them to say, well, sure, have your books 350,000, it's, or whatever the figure was. And I agree, it makes sense to be a part of a larger library, and that was the whole basis, to share. But there's no place, there is no, that would be, if you're on the board for the next meeting, I would say, where are those books going? Because there is no space. I can say that.
At 451.
Pardon? Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So does anybody else have anything to say or would like to say? Questions or whatever? If not, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You don't have to leave, but we're not talking about libraries anymore. Yeah, that's them.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Nice.
Good night. 7.1 is correspondence, and that's a letter from the library, library services.
Friend.
Yeah, friends of the library, I'm sorry. So did everybody read the letter or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Get three of them here. Which one are you talking to?
No, the Friends of the
No,
Library.
Friends of the Library.
The short little
Little
email thing, I think it was.
Well, it's a nice piece of correspondence.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was, yes.
We're here to help.
We like that. Okay. Anything by members? Counselor Smith.
I do have one. They had the rally last Thursday morning, and that was in response to Mr. Bowlby announcing that Fridays his offices will be closed. Great. He wasn't there on Thursday either. But I found out that he was at a meeting on base with his compatriots up the line and some local municipal politicians and the base commander and a couple of other the bigwigs there, talking about base expansion and what was coming down the pipe and all those types of things. Did you, Madam Mayor, get an invitation to that meeting? Because there was a nice group photo, and I noticed that you weren't front and center.
Okay.
And I would like to suggest that, and I don't have the answer as to how, but it'd be nice if we were gotten into an invitation to some of those balls, because that's going to,
We usually do. I mean, I've gone.
right.
To the other one.
So it was very disappointing to see that meeting, and whether, I don't know who initiated the meeting, I don't know how you got on the guest list. But it was very disappointing to see all this nice, bright, shiny, smiling faces.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about regional growth. And here we are 10 kilometers away and we're not invited to the discussion.
Yeah.
So maybe,
Yes, I saw that too.
I don't know if you can reach out to somebody or try to find out who called the meeting or how you get on somebody's list to be considered down the road, but I'd
Like I said,
to-
I have been to several meetings at the base, you know, like when they.
Right.
Something fancy's going
It
on.
was just-
but-
In today's climate, it would just seem like another slap in the face,
Yeah,
and I didn't like it.
okay.
That's all I have. You'll get your chance. Your turn.
I'd like to respond to
Counselor Bartlett.
I do have one thing, sad, unfortunately, on the weekend. We had, a fatal accident on School Street. I did see the letter that came out to council. And, I mean, I'm not 100% sure what we do. I talked to the CAO a little bit today and was wondering if even as a temporary measure, we used to have, and I'm not saying that this is the cause, but we do have issues in town in certain areas. That street in particular has been known for side-by-sides off, ATVs, that kind of thing, running down that road. We used to have around town those rubberized,
Yes.
curbs. Yeah,
But.
and
Speed bumps.
We call them built
Speed
potholes.
yeah, speed bumps. And I don't know if that's something that is a temporary measure that could be used down there to try to slow some of that traffic down. And yes, it's totally a reaction to a tragic event that happened. And I would like it if that could be looked into as a possibility.
Yeah, staff will,
That's good.
it's operational, so staff will look into that and determine. how to
Thank you very
work
much.
that.
Thank you.
I like that.
Counselor.
Two things, and it is actually related to the library. In our correspondence, there was the letters from the library. There is apparently an $83,000 or $84,000 request that has tied to the Middleton Rosa Harvey Library. And there seemed to be a lack of clarity as to whether, in the absence of a library here, that, or one specifically named the Rosa Harvey Library, whether or not that was property of an Appleton Regional Library, or whether that was something that should stay here.
I think that's what they just talked about, was it?
No.
Yeah, no, that was a little,
Oh.
something slightly different, I think.
Okay.
So to keep all of our options open, I think we should do whatever we can to keep that attached to the Middleton specific branch. In the event we do decide to do some form of library ourselves in the future, which may end up being the way to go. The other thing is, according to the letter here, we're actually the owner of the shelving and that sort of stuff, the fixtures and the thing, which would be the most difficult thing about restarting the informal library thing. I have some familiarity with books, and their prices in terms of what they're paying for books, nonsense kind of thing. The biggest part of replacing or starting a library would not be the cost of books. The cost of books are insignificant compared to the pricing of the fixtures, basically the shelving and stuff like that kind of thing. So again, more because they had the offer to and the thing to basically buy those from us. I think we should, until we really have a real clear idea of what we're doing, keep that as much in-house as possible. And as far as using the library for storage, which is essentially what they seem to want to do, not sure if I agree with that, to be honest. That limits our options in terms of what we may or may not want to do with the library kind of thing in terms of salvage and stuff. So I'm not sure I agree with that myself.
I've not responded until I.
No, but we didn't get a chance to discuss it, and I think that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Thank you. Counselor Nat?
I have a couple of things. The parade that we did on the positive note, the Canada Day parade that I was involved in was very greatly appreciated by a lot of the citizens. There was a lot of people out on the streets waving, and the McDonald Museum for hosting the Pirates of Halifax was really great to see them. And kudos to Lisa, because she did an awesome job at organizing this. I think that was 99% of Lisa doing that, so she did an amazing job.
Of course, it was easy from your throne on
It's
Yeah.
very easy from the throne, because I didn't have to walk, but
That's
thank you to Councillor Bartlett who did walk.
Yeah,
That was wonderful, and Lisa as well.
and thank you to Councillor Gary for our hats.
It's pirate theme.
Oh, you have that on there? Oh, sorry.
It's pirate theme.
And yes, and the deputy mayor acquired some costume attire for us councillors to wear. It was really great, and I had a fantastic time. Just on another sad note, just to reiterate Councillor Bartlett's discussion there about the tragic loss, and just want to let the citizens know that we do hear you. We did receive your email, and it is a shame. We as council are going to try our best to fix a problem on School Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Boats.
My comment was only in response to Councillor Smith and his comment about you not being invited to that event, I would say, see if he working in agreement. You know, you talk about the expansion of the community at a time when we look at per capita fundings and, you know, as we're growing our community, we're shuttering a library that is only gonna be probably more in need in the future. It should be also a talking point, I think. From a board member standpoint of view, you know, it'd be nice to be included in these meetings, to understand the growth opportunity. And then to also leverage that as another reason for supporting the library. So.
Deputy Mayor.
I'm gonna wrap up with something fun,
Okay.
right?
Pool party at Gary. No.
Well, we're close. Close. Yeah. Saturday, July the 18th, Town of Middleton is
Yeah.
hosting the Heart of the Valley Family Day. It's coming up, folks.
Yes.
Everyone listening out there. So from 11 to 2 at the Rotary Park is the Heart of the Valley Fun Day, or Family Day, I should say. And in addition to that, the Middleton Fire Department will be offering for a fee their chicken barbecue. So the Middleton Fire Department's involved, the town of Middleton's involved. What?
Pre-order.
Oh, pre-order. Reach out to Burke Counselor Knapp.
No.
Oh, not you? Sorry. But you can pre-order. The other thing is, in conjunction with that, so it involves the fire department, the town of Middleton, recreation, all those different departments, but also the Middleton District Arena. In conjunction with the Middleton Fire Department hosting a rink dance. So it's a little bit of the old Heart of the Valley days, kind of condensed into one day. But so the Heart of the Valley Family Day from 11 to 2 at the Rotary Park. With a barbecue, chicken dinner by the fire department, followed later on that day from 8 to 1 at a rink dance, which is also a fundraiser for the fire department and the Middleton Arena.
And I will give all council a heads up that you will get an email shortly from your recreation department asking you, inviting you to participate in helping run some of the festivities that are going on that day.
And I would just like to,
Yeah.
yes,
Me too.
and it will be, as a counselor, it would be nice to see all of us come together outside of the council chambers to help participate in some of these functions.
And to add to yours, the McDonald Museum is having a market that day. The 18th. So that's one other event. I have something to say. The person that died is my neighbor's son. So it hasn't been great. But, and this, I'm glad you're still here, Adam. I'm not sure when they built those stairs, if they're legal. Like, I don't know. And plus there's a car there. So there's a car and the stairs that come from upstairs.
It's on the corner of School and North.
School to North.
Okay.
That yellow apartment, well, the
Got it.
one that's always in the news. So it's very close. So I don't know what, as a council, what we could do. But as a traffic, what do you call it? Traffic coordinator or whatever. Could you have a look at that?
Sure.
And see what you Because I personally don't go down that street for that reason. I've had too many close calls.
One today.
Yeah, there you go. And my sister-in-law doesn't go down anymore because she almost got hit if that guy hadn't stopped, slammed his brakes on. So you cannot see from that stop sign. Now, I know there's been suggestions about what we should do and what we shouldn't do, but personally, I think we need to have a look at that, at the stairs and about that car. You know, so I'm asking you as a traffic advisory to have a look at that. Please and thank you.
No problem.
Okay, that's all I have to say. What are you looking at?
may I say something?
Well,
No.
I remember. Yes.
No, just, one of our staff, our recreation, MPAL coordinator wanted me to pass along thanks to the council members who came out on Canada Day.
Oh, well,
And participated in the event.
yes, well, we were happy to do it.
Nobody noticed the float was redone?
Yes, it was lovely.
Oh, the.
I'm sure it rode
lovely.
well for those that got to ride on it.
It
Well,
did. It was lovely.
It was absolutely lovely.
Too far for me to walk.
Well, you could have gone, you could have sat.
You
on
could have
the-
sat
The fire you had.
There's lots of room. It's almost like it's a bigger
Well
float.
done.
Yeah,
Well,
it's not bigger, is it?
No, it's.
Maybe
It
a couple
looks bigger.
inches.
It just looks bigger, I guess.
Are we moving for adjournment?
moving for
Safer.
Second.
Yay. If there's no further business,
Oh, probably worship.
okay, no further business. I declare the meeting adjourned. And that concludes our live streaming of today's committee of the whole meeting. Our next meeting will be a special council meeting on Thursday, July 9th, 2026. Our next regular scheduled council meeting will be Monday, June 20th, 2026, or July. Sorry, both of them are July 9th, July 20th. I see that. And the agenda package will post on town's website on Friday, July 17th. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or ideas that you would like to have addressed during anything by citizens, part of the agenda, please submit them to ea@town.middleton.ns.ca by noon on Monday, July 20th, 2026. And thank you for